Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, councillors. Welcome to the Finance and Policy Executive for March. I just want to read out a brief statement to start with. I wish to inform all present that this meeting will be recorded. In the interest of transparency and openness, the recording will be made publicly available following the meeting. Any member of the public who does not wish their participation to be included in the published recording is requested to make it known to the chair before speaking. So is everybody happy with that? You members of the public happy to be recorded? Okay, thank you. Also, there are no planned fire drills, and could I ask that the fire exit is, take note of the fire exit that is there behind you. And also, could I ask everybody to make sure that their mobile phones are turned off or on silent, please? Thank you. So let's move into the agenda. So public comment. Have we got any public comment, Amanda?
I believe I've got Deep up there, but I believe these members want to talk on the grant applications they've submitted.
Okay, thank you. So that will come later on. Okay. Steve, sorry.
Sorry, can I suggest that we suspend standing orders while they speak to the grants?
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Steve? Can't hear you, mate. You muted?
No.
Still muted, Steve? Still muted.
No, we can't hear.
No, we can't hear you, Steve.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, right.
No, it's gone again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hear you now.
Good, I can hear you. Good night. Yeah, it's just a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. Just talking about looking at the floodlights at Yeovil Recreation Centre. I see there's a lot of funding issue. I was just wondering if you might like to ask Somerset Council if they'd like to contribute, considering there was a £400,000 sinking fund that went from South Somerset to the new unitary authority, and then when they passed over the Yeovil Recreation Centre to yourselves, that £400,000 seems to have disappeared. It might be a nice goodwill gesture from the Somerset Council if they'd like to contribute to the floodlights. And also, just a quick one about the South Somerset Heritage Collection coming up in Part B. I just wanted to know why it was coming up in Part B, because it looks as if it's just talking about a feasibility study. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Steve.
I can answer that question. It's because there's a commercially confidential part of that report.
Do we want to say anything about the 400,000?
I think the 400,000 has gone forever. We did challenge that when we took over Yeovil Recreation Centre, and it appears that that earmark reserve has been absorbed within the general reserves of Somerset Council. So unfortunately, we will never get to see that.
That's a shame. Thank you.
I think if I can just add to that, I think that money went over 3 years ago. So shortly after the unitary council was established, I think that went to a different area or whatever it did. So that's unfortunate. Well, it's unfortunate. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Apologies for absence.
Yes, I have a few. I have Councillor Tariff Casey, who has sustained an injury, Councillor Tony Locke, who has a conflicting engagement, Councillor Ashley Richards for personal reasons, however, he has joined us virtually, Councillor Royston Spinner for personal reasons, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Everybody happy to agree those apologies? Thank you. So 11/359, declarations of interest. Members to declare any interest, including disclosable pecuniary interest, DPI, they may have in the agenda items that record with the requirements of the Town Council's Code of Conduct, and to consider any requests from members for dispensations that accord with the Localism Act 2011, Section 33B and E. So any declarations of interest? The standard Somerset County. Rob?
Yes, Chair, can I declare on 11/372 as Chair of Yeovil Without Parish Council and any other instances where Yeovil Without Parish Council may appear?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so minutes, 11/360 minutes to agree the minutes. There's a correct record of the minutes of the meeting held on the 20th of January. So I hope everybody's read the minute. So we're all happy to agree those minutes? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so moving on, so 11/361 grants. To consider applications received, a summary can be found on page 7 and the application forms have been circulated separately. So I hope that everybody has read these applications and I will put it out now to members for comments. Or, sorry, no, do,
So do each application.
yeah, so, sorry, Amanda, yeah. So the first application is for Project Dance Foundation. It's an organisation, so support delivery of Project Dance Yeovil Wide Schools programme to provide free in-school dance workshops and free theatre tickets for students to attend Busk at Westlands Entertainment Value. And again, that application is by Project Dance Charity Foundation. So I believe James, you would like to? Yeah, you'd like to say something on this? And if you come up to the microphone, please, James, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Fabulous. Hello, councillors. Lovely to see you. Slightly less of an audience tonight. I come here with a lot of optimism. This is a really exciting moment in a journey that's taken a really long time to get to here. So I set about in September trying to understand how we can take Project Dance, which is a Yeovil-based arts organisation, and scale it in a way that really puts Yeovil on the map and actually can have a tangible impact on the residents of Yeovil in a really meaningful way. And so over the course of this entire academic year, in collaboration with the Royal Academy of Dance, who've provided me with a lot of support in kind, London Children's Ballet, and in consultation with local schools, I have developed this scheme of work that ultimately puts Yeovil at the heart of a national project, backed by sort of evidence-based, data-driven from Sport England, which says that dance can have a tangible impact on attainment in schools, as well as young people's well-being. We have devised a scheme of work where basically we democratise access to an introduction to dance education. It's amazing to have facilities, it's amazing to have venues and arts on our doorstep, but sometimes that isn't enough, and sometimes a massive consideration is access. And so what this proposal suggests is that we go into schools and we provide first-hand workshops to groups of students, and then they have the opportunity to come to the theatre for free and experience a production that was made, conceived, developed by people from Yeovil and is actually scheduled to go on a national tour. I'm sure you are aware that Arts Council England not so long ago identified South Somerset as a priority place for in need of arts support. That's a result of systemic underfunding, which means that younger people who aspire to be part of the arts have less opportunities to do so if they come from this area. And so this is a really thought out, passionate intervention to fly the flag for Yeovil, but also to allow that the people in Yeovil to have the most fruitful benefits from what we're trying to do. This scheme of work is part of a much bigger project, which sees a variety of pots and support acquired for us to take a work developed in Yeovil across the country and provide workshops in areas all across the UK. But nowhere, if we're able to ascertain the funding for Yeovil, nowhere quite in the same way as what we would be able to offer here, taking really meaningful participation to schools instead of waiting for them to come to us. There's a real need in local schools for this. You can see that because
You start to finish up now, please.
absolutely, when we developed this project and we asked schools if they would be interested in the first place, they all said yes. There's not enough money to go around, and this would relieve that burden, but provide that access.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
2 seconds over, spot on, really.
I'll take that.
Thank you very much.
I think Jenny was first.
Okay,
I just wanted to declare an interest just because in the funding breakdown, you've asked Brimton Parish Council and I'm on that.
so you
Yes.
declare an interest that you're on Brimton Parish Council. Thank you very much. Dave,
Thank you.
then Andy.
Thank you, Chair. Before I speak, it's almost like James was looking over my shoulder when I was writing my notes at home for what I'm about to say. So my apologies if some of it's repeated, but this is another opportunity for Yeovil Town Council to invest in creative performance and culture. James is passionate, professional and proud, not only of what he does and creates for art and performance in Yeovil and beyond. James is an ambassador for Yeovil, helping put us on the map, and through support and encouragement of local talent, is helping turn heads toward Yeovil at a time when Yeovil needs footfall and reasons to visit. But also groups such as James's will help the new Octagon Theatre hit the ground running. James is invested in Yeovil, and this is an opportunity for this council to reciprocate with James and to actively take part. Creative culture, art and self-expression are an indicator of an inclusive community and a catalyst for success. Any town that is flourishing, you'll probably find has locally grown talent at the heart of it. And I want Yeovil and this council to take part, and I'm in support of this application.
Thank you. Andy,
Thank you, Chair.
then Adrian.
On number 19, reason for not providing their important financial information because it's under charity that the bank accounts can be supplied for them to provide. I can't see no bank statement on the application.
Page 18.
18, page 18.
Sorry.
The grant.
Sorry, this is in the wrong page 18.
So the page before that will be where your bank statement will show.
Page 19 is
Yeah.
The bank statement is on page 18. Andy. I'll just bring Adrian in, Andy, while you're looking at that. Adrian?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. A quick clarification for me, if possible, to the applicant. I can see, generally speaking, we're looking at 15 workshops and schools have been identified, along with 600 student tickets. I was encouraged by your statement that said it's important for children in our area to access this. So a quick clarification question is, if there are children in our town but don't go to one of these identified schools, are they able to apply for one of the 600?
Back up to the microphone.
I think from a technical point of view, I think it would be better if James did
Yes.
answer that question. So yes, if you could please, James.
Thank you so much for that question, and it's totally valid and totally an important aspect of what we're trying to offer. We have tried to approach all the schools in the Yeovil area, including the SEN schools in our area, which has been met with immense enthusiasm. It is preferred, and sort of on a first case basis, free tickets will be awarded to recipients who are in those schools because the workshops will be tailored to curriculum. So, for example, Westfield Academy are studying a WeJEC syllabus in their performing arts, And so the workshop is associated with that. And then there is we call it a 360 pipeline in arts funding, but to acquire, to be able to then have that performance opportunity to experience that is kind of beginning, middle and end is a rounded approach. However, if there are surplus tickets available after we have given those to the Oval area, I'm more than happy, as it be a stipulation or something that we implement, that there is a process to allow people to do that directly from the Oval area.
Thank you, James. I'd just like to raise, sorry, Andy, I'll bring you back in a minute, but I would just like to raise another point here. I think actually councillors need to probably clarify that if their children go to any of these schools. So can I have a declaration from council if any of their children?
I have one child that goes to Westfield Academy. Who'll
Okay.
get the chance.
Okay,
And I also have a son in Preston Primary.
right, okay. Anybody else have any children that go to these schools or don't go to these schools? No, okay, thank you very much. Andy?
Yeah, sorry about that. I find page 18, it is 5. So I formally second Councillor Wone's proposal to pass this
Application,
application.
okay. Wes?
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of queries, I suppose, really. On page 10, I'm just looking at Yeovil Parish Council. We obviously had a final funding ending in £2,000. Page 19, I guess this is not the final funding, so obviously they've got the final funding in Yeovil Parish Council. I take it that's just 2 dates, obviously pending and.
Yes, the application was received in advance of that email that we received from James.
And also, I mean, how many children do you think this is supporting then? Probably the right word. How many children, roughly? James can answer that one, can he?
Well, it would be supporting all those children within those schools and within the greater community if possible. So it's a lot.
We don't have a number then, do we?
I haven't got a definitive number, I'm afraid.
And just one other question, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Are they all Yeovil based? Or what?
Sorry, say that again, Wes.
All Yeovil based children we're talking about?
Schools within.
Yeah. Sherborne or?
Yeah, go on. Sorry, James.
Yeah, we're talking about
Yep.
schools, for example, or?
So all the schools are listed in the application.
Sorry,
They are, yeah, they are listed.
It's there, and we have budgeted in the application also for 600 students to experience the show. That's to do with capacity of Westlands. So they would be 600 students that get the entire experience. However, it's more on a case-to-case basis in schools, whether it's a provision for a group of year 7 students and it's a larger class size. Maybe a school wants us to work with a more specialist group that want to study dance and they're in year 10 and it's a smaller group. So there's a tangible aspect where we are working to work with the local schools and what they would like to see. But hopefully it's all articulated in the application.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, James. Wes, it is on page 4, and yes,
I understand what you mean.
they are Yeovil based. So yeah, you're looking at 600 student tickets, 15 workshops. Yeah, Adrian.
Through you, Chair, to the CEO, just a quick question. I think I'm right in assuming that the amount of the application roughly equates, give and take, to what the applicant is forecasting to spend at Westlands. So my question is, would there be any benefit in us essentially supporting this project through, peppercorn rent of the facility opposed to the grant? So from a financial perspective, is that
It loses its transparency then.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in the future, maybe that's a different question that could be looked at, but for this purpose, it's a grant application and we'll deal with that in this way. And obviously, once that grant has been awarded, they can't come back for another grant, can they, for 3 years?
2.
Or is it 2 now? 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, for 2 years.
I asked that question actually because I'm assuming the applicant and the charity aren't VAT registered, and therefore we might be charging them VAT, and therefore it might be cost benefit in the future.
I think it's a good point. I think that's something that maybe could be explored further down the line. Okay, but we're looking at what we are looking here. tonight, but I thank you for that point. So we have, sorry, Carl?
Yeah, I just wanted to come in quickly because I think people underestimate the arts and what they do for young people and how they bring young people to themselves and how with deprivation and gets them out and they mix with people who are interested in the same as them and it really does bring them out. So what I'm thinking is if we give this £2,000 tonight, how is it going to continue for next year?
We are, okay,
I'm looking at
this is kind of a bit of a follow-on basically from what Adrian said. So we can only look at the application.
I'm just saying that I'm in support of this, but also I'm just saying openly that it might be a good idea later on to look at a service level agreement with the applicant so we can keep this going and help further generations later on.
Yeah.
As I just want to putting that out.
I totally agree with that, and that's something that we can look at going forward, isn't it? Jenny?
I fully support this grant with two children that absolutely love dancing, one at a national level, but she was quite fortunate that we could afford to pay for her to go to dance classes and there's a lot of children that can't afford to do that and would absolutely love it. And it's a shame that they're missing out, and I think this will be really good for them. I wholly support it.
Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything before I sort of sum up on this one? I'm a great supporter of this. My daughter started dancing at probably 2 years old with Helen Laxton, and she went to the Royal Academy of Dance and did her degree there, and she's taught dance in many places all over the country. She now is head of school at Yetminster. This isn't really just about dance or the arts. This is about enabling young people to gain confidence through all of these different interactions that you can find with throughout this project, and it's so much more than just that. Like I said, it is about what will benefit these young people in a confidence and character building aspect of this. So thank you very much for your application, James. We had a proposer and a seconder.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say, can I have a vote all in favour? Unanimous, I think. Thank you. Thank you, James. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you wish, but if you have other pressing things, like I'm sure you have, then yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, James.
See you soon.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll just wait until Jackie comes back, actually.
Go to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
It says
Oh, yeah, you did, yeah. But did knock it out.
literacy value.
Yeah.
Do we need to declare interest in that? Because
Probably. Do we? I don't know, Amanda. Do we need to?
You can't do it. Makes
Well, let's do it and then we're covered.
Yeah.
No? When we get
which one?
the Literature Fest.
that's a flower.
For the flower one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
That includes everyone, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
You've just got to make a statement.
Yeah. It's held at Westminster, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you, Jackie. So the next application is for Yeovil Flower Rangers organisation, and they're looking for £600 in a grant. But I would have to point out that we would all have to declare an interest in this because it's held at Westlands, and we, as a council as a whole, obviously we're responsible for Westlands, we run Westlands, so.
It's not held at Westlands.
It's a flower arrangement they do for Auckland.
Sorry?
It's the flower arranging they do for Literary Festival.
Says we meet at Holy Trinity.
For the Literary Festival, which is held at
Yeah.
Westlands.
Yes.
That's what you're trying to say.
That's a bit kind of,
Well,
That's what I said, I'm just
Yeah.
wondering.
sorry,
Yeah.
I thought you said to me that it was held at Westlands. No, that's too far off the loop, really. You know,
Fine.
no,
I just double checking.
I don't believe we need any.
No, that's-
For that at all. Sorry. So the amount sought is £600 and the purpose of the grant is for the cost of flowers and materials for 3 floral demonstrations in June, July and in October in Yeovil. Would you like to speak on this, please? Thank you.
Good evening.
Again, you will have 3 minutes.
Right. My name's Jackie Parsons. I'm chairman of Yeovil Flower Arrangers Society. We celebrate 75 years next year. Basically, we meet in Holy Trinity Church, although we're not affiliated to the church. We just rent a room from them. And we try to incorporate flower arranging in a friendly atmosphere with paid demonstrators. We belong to NAFAS, which is the National Association of Flower Arranging Societies. And so we get demonstrators from there and various local ones as well. And we like to include everybody within the community if we can. We've done various fundraising events to try and highlight our society. And it is a very friendly society, so it's for everybody, all ages, children up to 80, 90-year-olds if they want to come. And it is a source of friendliness, so they don't get lonely. It takes out the loneliness of older people who perhaps are isolated. And we run the society just about on a shoestring at the moment. So really, basically, that's what we do. We have demonstrators come in, give us a demonstration. Some are workshops, some do it with workshops. Our next one, which is in April, is a Ikebana workshop. And we try and incorporate everybody and beginners to experienced people. All right.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you. Question, Adrian.
I'd just like to say that it's really good to see. I didn't know we had a flower arranging society in the town. So it's good to see that you're here, and it's also, you know, as a town, we have committed to supporting lots of services in our town. And I think we need to make sure that we are servicing a wider spectrum of our town. And I think this actually fits in very nicely, showing that we are supporting a wider spectrum of activities in our town. I've had a look through the application. I can see that you are mainly funded through your subscriptions and donations. And I can see that the request there is actually reasonable, and what I would suggest is reasonably helpful. I might certainly be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jenny.
I didn't know we had a flower arranging either. I think this is great. Something different. Not everybody wants to play sports. There's always sports for somebody. This is something different that any age can join in. So I would like to propose that we give them the grant.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I think Adrian was not in first on that one. So, anybody else wish to speak on this? Go on, Dave.
It's just a thought. Through you, Chair, to the applicant. Is there any way we can bring this into the Yeovil and Bloom arrangements to enhance it, maybe?
I can ask Katie if that's something that can be involved.
I would agree with that because one of the questions I have, this is about 20 people in your group, is that correct?
Do you want me to come out?
Yes, please. Good.
Yes, we've got about 20, that's all.
Right.
And the subscription is £40 a year for 10 meetings.
Yeah.
Which are demonstrations, workshops, run by club members, some of them, and other people from outside. So that's £4 a meeting, which isn't bad, is it, for today's?
That was one of the only concerns I had with giving a grant. Sorry, you can sit down again if you.
That's all right, I'll stay here and
Okay.
finish.
So my concern was it's community benefit. I'm just thinking about community benefit here, but if we could tie in, speak to Katie, and if we could tie in something there, that I think that would.
So we run an initiative called Yeovil and Bloom. You may have heard it.
Yeah.
We can get the director who runs that part of the service to contact you because there may be synergies there as well.
Something that could maybe cross over that would be a benefit to you and a benefit to the general community as well.
Yeah.
So because one of the criteria for awarding these grants is it's determined about the level of community benefit. And when we're talking about a small number of people, sometimes that can be difficult to define really as to how great that benefit is. But we have a proposer and a seconder for that. So thank you. So I'm going to say all in favour. Okay, all in favour?
Yeah.
Andy, thank you. That's unanimous again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, if you wish to stay in.
No, I'm going because I've got another meeting.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tired, no jokes on.
Good night.
Again, I'll wait till Jackie comes back and then we'll start again.
Jackie sent now, man. Jackie sent.
Yeah, Jackie sent it, yeah.
Sorry, Chair, talking across your, don't worry, talk behind.
Right, no, don't
Trying to
worry.
get Graham.
All right, okay. Not to worry. Apologies, Steve. We're just waiting for Jackie to come back and then we can carry on.
We can hear him.
If,
He's got his thumbs up, you do hear him.
don't move on to confidential. Sure. They're on the run.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't want any.
No.
Today, I was in the office, so.
It's a bit of a dad joke, that is, Steve.
Disappointed nobody said Bloom and Marvellous to the last grant application.
Gone one better. We could have done the Yeovil and Broom so we could do the bus college.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Thank you, Jackie. You're getting your steps in today, aren't you? And flights climb, so it's a win-win.
This morning, so.
Okay, so on to the final grant application. It's Yeovil St Michael and All Angels Parish Organisation. Sorry, Yeovil and St Michael's All Angels Parish. It's an organisation, and there's the amount sought was £1,000 to help fund a new initiative in the Birchville Community Lunch. Yeovil St Michael's and All Angels Parish are running from the 21st of April 2026. So this is a new venture, but it's kind of linked into what Birchville already runs. So it's going to be sort of a bit of a companion to that. So Jenny,
Ask a question. It says over parish of Yeovil, St Michael's in the Church of England. Does that mean they're involved in the church?
No, I can answer that.
yeah, go on, Rob.
So basically, the Reverend Sarah is the vicar of St Michael's Church, which covers the whole of St Michael's and Birchfield and all that side of Yeovil, the whole of east of Yeovil. So basically, She's the director of the whole of the left side, of the east side of Yeovil.
And, sorry, yeah. How do we stand with it being a church?
Yeah, there's.
So it's the activity that we would be granting, not the church structure.
That's all I wanted to check.
The church.
It's, the grant is for the activity. It's not for any clerical use. It's
That's all.
not for the church at all. So,
Yeah.
okay. Any other questions?
On the grant.
Yes, on the grant application.
Yeah. This sort of question and a statement. I'm in support of it. It's got a similar feel to it. To St. Peter's in Westfield, and we all know through being at successive meetings when they've been in asking for support from us, we know the positive impact that had on the Westfield community. I think one of the stats got thrown at me that they had a 68% reduction in antisocial behaviour. So it's clear that these church-based community groups have, well, certainly that one, St. Peter's, is having a positive impact on the community of Westfield. And as I said, this initiative feels like it's the same. I'm a little bit unsighted on how St. Peter's began, so I'd appreciate maybe a bit of a steer on that. But I'm in support of this because I think it has the same hallmarks of St. Peter's on it.
Yeah. Shall I just bring Wes in first now?
I don't know if Adrian indicated you want to speak as well.
I was just going to ask if the applicant has given any indication that they were going to present tonight, or if they presented any apologies.
So they were invited, they had a conflicting engagement, so unable to attend.
Okay. Do you want to bring Wes in? Wes? And then.
Thank you, Chair. No, Dave's right. It is very similar to the Warm Hub, for example, at St. Peter's. That I believe was driven by the church initially. But it's a huge benefit to the community up there. They do obviously ask for a donation. It's very realistic. But they do obviously offer food for free for those who desperately need it and can't afford to pay for it, for example. But it has a huge take up, several days a week that runs. I think it's 4.
Thank you, Wes. Rob?
Okay, just to clarify that a bit further, and the reason it looks fairly similar is because it is fairly similar, because Spark Somerset have got involved in St. Peter's and got involved in Birchfield. So what they've basically done is replicated what they've done at St. Peter's, what's been done at St. Peter's, they've replicated that at Birchfield. So that's why it seems similar, because it is similar, because Spark Somerset have made it similar.
Okay.
So, which is why the two look fairly thin.
All right.
They're sort of linked loosely.
Andy?
Just focus on me on the bones. If you actually look into Yeovil a lot more, you'll find a lot of these associations or groups are starting up everywhere, or they've started. They're not just Birchfield, it's not just Westfield, there's more around that side of Yeovil, the Poetry Club and things like that. You go to the church out Preston Road, you go further afield to Abbey Manor. They're going, and I think it's great, especially for the older people, somewhere to go. If you remember, it wasn't too long ago, we used to have this warm spaces where people could go to keep warm. We don't hear nothing about that no more, which is fine, but people have found their routes where they'd like to go. And a lot of these old people now are quite committed to a lot of these places. And they don't just support their areas, people go all over the town to these groups. So it's rather good, and likewise, I support this thoroughly.
Okay. Jenny?
I think this is great. I like the fact that it's for all. Riverton have a golden oldies, and it's for the older people that are isolated. But I like the fact that this is. Sorry, there's a chirp in my ear. I like the fact that it's for everybody. I think it's good that younger people that might be struggling with like children and things like that, they've got older people to speak to. They've got it takes a village to raise a child, and I don't think there's a lot of that anymore. I think it's very much you're kind of on your own. As someone who moved here on my own with knowing no one, I went to a toddler group, and that's how I made my friends. I was quite lucky that there was older older people running it, and they were really helpful. And I think this will be really good, so I'd like to propose it, that we.
Okay.
Run.
So Jenny's going to propose this. We've got a seconder? Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll just sum up on this one just a little bit, really. One thing that did strike me, obviously, and looking at the grant application and discussing it, that I think going forward, we've got to be a little bit careful about duplication of things sometimes. And I'm very happy to support this, by the way, but I just think we need to be careful on duplication. Birchfield is supporting this, and Birchfield is virtually just up the road from this, but it's open to everybody. So just a thought for the future there, I think, when we look at grant applications and how we spend taxpayers' money. Okay, go on, Dave.
Yeah, just picking up on that, Chair. The need that is being served is very real. It's very difficult to duplicate an area of poverty. For example, you wouldn't find something like this being set up, should we say, up at West Coker Road or somewhere like that. But there are areas around town and around Somerset that is some of the most deprived areas in Somerset, in the whole of Somerset. One of the aims of something was to lift those areas out of poverty, and this kind of scheme addresses that need. So I think, certainly from my point of view, it gets around that plagiarisation, duplication suggestion. That's what I was going to say.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Chair, I think to cover off Jenny's initial point regarding the church, etc., we need to be very specific that we are awarding this, if we do award it, which I think it looks like we will. For that specific, I think we need to be very, very careful to
benefit.
That it's got to be the community benefit, and it doesn't go into the church funds as a general.
Well, that's the criteria of the grant.
Yeah, I know it, but I think we need I think if we award it, we need to be very specific that it's for that specific use and only that use. And I think
I would agree with that, and that's why I'm kind of talking really in the terms of the education of things sometimes.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be in the wording of what we send, just to.
Can I also add, we do ask for them to report back the effectiveness and what's actually happened at these events, or what the grant is being used on. So that should offer reassurance as well.
Yeah. Okay, so all in favour?
Yep.
Okay, again, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Right, good. Right, next item is my agenda. 11/362, approval of payments. Members to approve payments made by Yeovil Town Council 1st of January 2026 to the 31st of January 2026 and 1st of February 2026 to the 28th of February 2026. Now, the documents were circulated separately due to the size, so I hope everybody's had a chance to look at those. Amanda, do you want to?
There's nothing to add. The information's within the pack, so happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so members, any questions on this item?
Move to approval, Chair.
Okay, so if no questions, members happy to approve?
Yeah.
Right, thank you. That's approved. So next item is 11/363, budget monitoring report for the period ending the 28th of February 2026, month 1 to 11. Members to consider the budget monitoring report for months 1 to 11 prepared by the Chief Executive, Town Clerk, Deputy Responsible Finance Officer, attached at pages 8 to 29. So
we're predicting an underspend of just over £150,000, which represents 4.6% of the actual budget. And you will see within the appendix that there are notes that are given for anything that we think that you should be aware of.
Okay.
So happy to answer any questions relating to that report.
Andy.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I say this every time. I think we signed up for a climate emergency. Going through this, we seem to be overspending a lot on electricity. I spoke about this at the last meeting we had it 2 months ago about having the renewables put on the Westlands building. It came back from the chair that they won't want it, and I specifically asked. Quick answer is: did a letter get written to Leonardo? And did we get a reply? If we had a reply, I've never had sight of it. That's a simple question. I've got these figures down here I've taken from your budget.
Your budget, not my budget, your budget.
Our budget, sorry. You produced the budget. I'm a bit confused about going up. We got zero in the budget, but yet we've used £528 electricity. I don't quite understand that line, but that's another story. But basically, Milford Hall Townhouse, Country Park Cafe, Yeovil Rec, the Rec Cafe, Westlands Entertainment. It seems like according to my figures, we've overspent £45,000 compared to the budget. Irrelevant. I'm just saying that it's coming ahead now where with the Iran war, fossil fuels, but oil and gas is going to be going. Maybe, sorry, I've got the wrong balls on. Sorry. There's a chance that things may go up in July, and I'll be prepared for that. And going on from that, we're talking about the Octagon. I know that everyone's got an answer why we're not. But the fact is, when we had the Octagon meetings a year or two ago, and I'm pretty sure it was Liz Dawson that came, I actually brought this up in a public meeting. What is the risk of it going over budget? And I was categorically told, and you'll find it in the minutes, well, not that it is, but we're on a budget of 13 million.
Andy, I'm just going to come in there a moment because we were talking about the Octagon now, and that's not on the agenda here.
It's not on the agenda, but it's to do with what's coming. At the moment, you're paying £3,000 for it to be just sat there a month on electricity bills.
Andy,
when we take it over, it's going to add to our electricity. We're going to be paying over £250,000 in electricity.
Andy,
in the future. Yeah.
You asked a question earlier, and I've let you have your say there for the moment, but the Octagon's not on the agenda here. That's not the discussion point. I will answer your question that you posed to me. Now, do you wish to say anything first before I answer?
So I think we acknowledge that electricity costs are high. I think we need to recognise that the budgets were set prior to any conflict within Iran. So, that was an unknown at that time. However, in terms of photovoltaic panels, we recognise that is the way forward, and you will be aware that Milford Hall, we are going through a procurement process at the moment in order to get panels and a storage battery at Milford Hall, and that will be the first project that we've done that, and there will be learning that we can use there to apply to other buildings across the council. I'll make it very clear now, Townhouse will not be able to have photovoltaic panels on because firstly, we're in a conservation area, but also the way that the roofs are, it's a very funny roof. Having panels installed on this roof here would not be financially beneficial in terms of the electricity that it would provide. So we've taken advice on that. In terms of Gornap, we're looking at that building at the moment, and the electricity costs that you see there is because work is carried out from that building from time to time. And we also now have a battery vehicle which the maintenance officer goes around in, and that is charging the vehicle from that point there as well. So I realise we've made a climate emergency. We, as you can imagine, we've been through quite a lot through the last couple of years, and possibly we haven't had the resources that we would like to have directed towards doing a bit more, but you will see more projects coming forward. I'll give 2 examples of the floodlights that we've got coming on the report a bit later to help with that as well. So we are kind of chipping away at it, and then once we've got some big projects on at the moment, and the capacity of the staff is very far stretched. So we're doing what we can at the moment. And if the council are minded that they want us to work more on it, we will need additional resources in order to do that.
I'm sorry, Chair, I have to bring this up every time I have a meeting.
And I give you the same response with respect every time.
I know, no.
Absolutely, Andy. Your question.
As long as everyone's aware, we're going to be
Yes.
paying a lot of money out, especially when we and the Octagon is mentioned in that in a funny way.
Right. Thank you, Andy. Your question to me was about solar panels on Westlands. And there was some debate of whether the planning would be allowed for that. Now, I've looked into that and I have given you this information previously. Looked into that with the planning officers. The building that was refused planning permission for solar panels was Morrison's because of an objection from Leonardo. It wasn't Westlands, so there is a permission to be able to fit those to Westlands. Though the complexity comes the fact that we do not own that building, Leonardo own that building. Now, if we can come to an arrangement with Leonardo, and we are looking into, at this moment in time, certain schemes that would, if applicable, won't cost the council anything to have panels fitted to that building. And also, it wouldn't cost us to have anything fitted to the Octagon retrospectively, once we own that building. From a risk point of view, it's not in this council's interest to invest in something that we don't own at this moment in time. So once we own those buildings, it will be in our interest to pursue that. Now, as I've told you previously, in the Octagon budget, the budget was £15 million for that budget. There is nothing in that budget for solar panels. That's the bottom line. There is nothing in it, but that doesn't stop us doing anything at a future date retrospectively. But the budget for the Octagon is £15 million with its contingency, and that is the budget for it. It does not include solar panels. Like I said, we can do that at a later stage, and we are looking into that at this moment in time. Officers are looking into that. I did tell you this, and I did say to you the other day, before you say anything at another meeting in another place, that you check with officers at Yeovil Town Council to see what they're doing. So I don't know whether you did or not at this moment in time, but that was my advice to you.
I would ask one thing then, Chair, if there's things going on, it's not in the public eye of the councillors, because it's be brought to the main council meeting, so we get to know what is going on.
Well,
and I did ask a question just now about, did a letter get, I was told a letter will be written to Leonardo. Did a letter get written? Yes or no?
No, not at this stage because of other competing priorities.
I'm just worried. All it is, we've heard all last year, the year before, about we've got to watch our spending. And this is, to me, is sticking out of a sore thumb that we are spending an awful lot. And it's fine. It's fine. I just want to make sure everyone's aware.
I just answer that, Andy. Yeah, I think everybody is aware. We are making steps with Milford Hall. That's one of the first steps. We can't do everything all at once. We've got to start somewhere until we finish somewhere. We have started with that. That is the intention to do it, but there's only so much we can do at one time. There's officer resource and there's cost. Regardless of whether we declare a climate emergency or not, we can only do what we're capable of doing at this moment in time. We can't do it carte blanche and do everything that you would like to see done in an instant, because it won't happen. I'm sorry.
Just so you know, Milford Hall's been going on for many years now for solar, and
I'm sorry, Andy, but I'm going to stop that now because we're going around in circles a little bit. Another councillor wants to say something. So, Rob.
It was almost a point of order, really, because we're almost straying into commercial in confidence. We've been talking about what we're going to do and what we could do in the future. We have to be very careful where we tread on that, because although you said that there might be no cost, there might be a cost, in which case it's going to be commercial in confidence.
No, I didn't say that.
No.
Rob, I said there may not be.
Okay.
I didn't say there won't be.
Exactly.
There may not.
Which is my point. We may be go into commercial in confidence if we're not careful having a discussion about this.
Point taken, but I'm very, very sure that the CEO will have called a halt to it there if she felt that we were going in that way. Right, Graham's been waiting an awful long time. Graham, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Firstly, my apologies. Work gets in the way sometimes. I know it's not on the agenda, but Andy has raised the point. He raised it at Somerset Council, so I'm going to answer it one final and last time, Andy. So, Chair, the situation is this. The project board considered the options original designs for this project. They were unhappy that certain items were missing, and they used value engineering to create the extra money within the project to do the things that are most important for that project. There is no spare money on the Octagon project. I entirely agree with Andy Kendall that we should be putting PV panels on all possible buildings, including the Octagon Theatre. However, at this time, there is no money. This is the answer that's been given before, and it will continue to be the answer until that situation changes. So after this project is completed, the roof will be in a state that panels can be fitted, and that is something this council will have to decide whether it does. But at this time, asking the same question multiple times and ignoring the answer is not acceptable. You're being given a clear answer on this. You've been given it by me. You've been given it by the chair. You've been given it in other places. There is no money to pay for PV at this time, but everyone involved in this project, as far as I'm aware, is totally committed to meeting Somerset Council and this council's approach to the environment. So it will come up again, but it's not going to come up in the very short term. Sorry, Chair.
No, thank you, Graham. I totally agree with what you've said, and there isn't anybody in this room that doesn't want to see a greener, less polluting world than we do, and that would be the ultimate aim. But as you quite rightly said, it's not within that project, but it doesn't mean that it won't happen sometime in the future. Thank you. Right.
You know, the report then?
Can we note the report, please?
To note the report.
Thank you. Report's noted. Right. Now then, let's move on now to 11/364 bank reconciliation. Members to approve the formal bank reconciliation as at the 28th of February 2026 at page 30.
Okay, so this report shows that we have a balanced bank rec. It also shows where we're actually holding money at the moment in terms of our investment, our petty cash and floats that we hold at various sites around the town council. Happy to answer any questions regarding that reconciliation.
Jane.
I'd just like to approve it, please.
Yeah.
Well, fine. Any questions from anybody else? No? Right. Happy to approve?
Yep.
Right, approved. Thank you. Okay, so 11/365 balance sheet.
Okay, so this balance sheet is system generated from our Sage system as of February the 28th, 2026. Again, it balances, so that's good. It's a balance sheet, so it does what it says on the tin. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding any of the items on there.
Any question?
No, happy to approve.
Happy to approve?
Yep.
Thank you. Right, so the next one is 11/366 planning committees. Members to consider a report by the Chief Executive Town Clerk regarding proposed changes to the planning committee as attached at pages 33 to 34. Now, I hope everybody's read this and they understand what's being proposed here, but hand over to Amanda to.
Please could I ask, do I declare an interest as the chair? I just thought not to get in trouble.
So basically, we're recognising about good use of officers' time and yours, and holding short meetings isn't a good use of anybody's time or resources. So we are suggesting that the planning applications come to town council meetings and are held within the time that those meetings are held. If there is a month where there is no town council meeting, then we will go to our scheme of delegation which offers that me in consultation with the chair will and the relevant ward members will put forward a response for the town council on those items.
Adrian, you had your hand up, I think.
No, I did, but the CEO has actually just clarified my question, so thanks.
Right. Carl.
Just a quick question. If, for instance, an application came like the Oxford Theatre where it's going to be contentious and we're going to have a lot of people there, would we call another special town council meeting to just facilitate that planning application?
I think that would be very wise to do. We wouldn't want to make assumptions on behalf of the whole town council for something that will strongly affect the whole of Yeovil town.
I think that we could put something in this at a later stage, don't they, when we talk about major applications then in that context.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have your hand up, Jenny?
Yeah, Paul already asked my question, but I welcome this. We've had a lot of meetings lately that have been less than half an hour, and we seem to get less people turn up every month. It's dwindling, and if it was put on within another meeting, those people may be there, and other members that aren't on planning would be there that might want to say something, and they have the opportunity. So
Okay.
I welcome this and would like to propose it.
Okay, I know we can't second guess what the government are likely to do, but there are rumblings coming out that planning is going to change and get lesser anyway. So it might be that from whenever it is later on in the year or whenever, it could possibly be that there's be hardly any planning coming down the line to us anyway, because a lot of it will be pre-decided before it even gets to us. So it could be that even if we did carry on with the format as it is at the moment, that the meetings would all be cancelled anyway because there wouldn't be enough business to do. The other thing to note is that taking up Carl's point is that we have got reserve dates in the calendar for full council meetings. So if there is large applications, they could come to the reserve date rather than have a special meeting. Could just enable the reserve date as a meeting.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Wes?
Thank you, Chair. I welcome this. I mean, it's a huge saving, obviously, in officer time. It's a huge saving in our time, for example. And when you add on the quarter hour, 20 minutes we might be taking getting here and going back home, this sort of thing. But when I noticed that things like when I attend Yeovil Parish meetings, they've been doing it for a long, long time. It's not new to them. So it's good for us, I think, really, to be doing copying the same sort of thing in a lot of respects. So, yeah, I welcome it. I mean, obviously, as you well know, all the unitary councillors here obviously use the scheme of delegation, obviously, already. It's obviously fed in the system before even the town council see it. So, but yeah, welcome it. Very good.
Yeah. Anybody else? Tom? And then Jenny?
Just a quick one, Mrs. Going on to finance now. Would we still leave the £1,000 in the budget under the town council budget?
So there is no £1,000 in that budget now because it's been transferred from the Oxford Theatre.
Yeah. So it's nothing there.
No.
So the zero can remove.
No.
Can I just ask that, I know it will be in the minutes of this meeting, but that we can make everybody aware that there will be a scheme of delegation if there isn't a meeting, because
That's the next item, Jenny,
I'll be quite
on the agenda.
So if I can just mention, that is already in the scheme of delegation, and this will only work if members respond to the consultation that is sent to all ward members. So a bit of a slap wrist for some people because we don't get responses. So everybody needs to be invested in providing responses when asked.
Are you happy as chair for me to chase people if they haven't?
Well, we won't have a chair anymore.
Oh, yeah, because we're there.
Would you?
Oh.
You're made redundant.
I am made redundant.
Right.
I'm voting myself out.
Don't forget to ask for a payoff.
Wes, hang on.
Redundancy.
So the councillors want to speak now. Come on.
I just want to test my understanding and the logic of how this works. I get that if we can, we should save time. It makes sense. So in months where there is a town council meeting, a full council meeting, and we can bring those applications through, then yes, absolutely. What I want to test though is that in months where there are no full council meetings, and therefore we might use the scheme of delegation, I just want to test my logic and understanding. So would it be that the ward members only would get to view those?
So it will be the chair and vice chair of the council plus the ward members.
Okay.
Andy.
I'm a little bit confused. I get some, like David does, we get stuff for.
Sorry, say I didn't hear that part.
We get applications sent to us from Somerset Council.
As a Somerset councillor, yeah.
If applications in our ward, and we have the chance to either say yes or no. If no, good planning reason to bring it in, and it be brought into committee. I don't see many of our
scheme of delegation, isn't it?
Delegation.
I don't see many of them coming through Yeovil town planning from our ward. Very rare that the odd one trickles through for some reason. I was just wondering, does that have any effect of I don't know who you're blaming, who's not doing the scheme of delegation. I know it's not us two. You said the scheme of delegation is not working.
Andy, just clarify. Nobody's blaming anybody for anything here.
Now that people aren't responding, and I'm just a bit sort of confused with the whole process. I thought it was all okay at the moment, but we obviously we've got 4 different divisions in Yeovil. And
what are you talking about, Somerset Council, Andy, or Yeovil Town?
In general.
No, we're talking about Yeovil Town Council here in our scheme of delegation here.
And I'm saying we don't get many of our ward coming through here, but we do get to see what's getting planned in Yeovil in our ward. Okay. Get a chance to.
So at the moment we hold the meetings, so the chance of us having to get consultate on the basis of the scheme of delegation is very far and few between. But when you look at July and August, when we didn't hold meetings, we would have had some planning applications that came through for us to consult on. And some members, and I'm not going to name and shame, haven't always responded. So that's made it very tricky for the town council to give a response back because we've got nothing to base a response on.
Maybe I've just never had one. I don't understand. I'm not a full understanding of what we're doing, what we're saying. I know what we're saying, but I've never.
In short, not all. When we put them out for consultation, not all members respond.
Right.
And if you respond, great, but some do not. So that's where the issue lies.
As happens at Somerset Council, will happen at Yeovil Town Council, that you will be contacted as a ward member under the scheme of delegation and asked to respond with any comments within a certain time frame. What has happened, as the CEO has said, that hasn't happened. So what we're trying to implement here is to make sure that does happen council-wide, so that we can make these changes to planning and that it works, and we end up not having to spend time organising for officers organising a separate meeting that lasts 25 minutes or 20 minutes or 15 minutes.
I totally understand.
So this is a way of saving taxpayers' money at the end of the day.
I'm going
Jenny.
to. It's probably not relevant, obviously, because I won't be the chair of planning. Does that mean I won't be on this committee either anymore?
We will still need a number of.
Or do you want to?
That's not for discussion at this.
Right, that's fine.
I'm sorry, but that's not. We're talking about scheme of delegation here, and we haven't got to that yet actually, but we're talking about the planning committee, but we're not talking about that element of it at the moment, Jenny. So can we leave that for another discussion at another time at another place? Graham.
Thank you, Chair. I would say that I can see the merits of this. There's an awful lot of sense because we've had a lot of meetings that no members of the public have attended, and they've been short. And there used to be a lot of application for porches, which I used to get really annoyed about. But this is what it is. I just make 2 points. Firstly, the drawback to this proposal is it removes an opportunity for the public to easily attend the only chance they would get to speak on most planning applications. Only contentious items will go to South Planning or whatever, it's Planning South, whatever they call it now, of Somerset Council. So tread carefully in the fact that you are, if this decision is made, you're reducing the opportunity for the public to attend. The other thing is, I think the reserve dates thing may not work in this, and it's not a problem. I just think that because of the time scale required by Somerset Council for responses from this council, it could mean that actually a date, a town council meeting for a contentious item would have to be held on a different date because of the time frame. I don't see that as a problem. I just think it's important to recognise that the reserve dates may not actually work out on the time frame.
So, Graham, we already find ourselves in that position that we're asked to respond back by certain deadlines, and we contact the planning officer at Somerset Council to extend that to a time that suits the council's meeting. So it was in our power to extend deadlines. So any contentious one, we certainly hold a meeting from a reserve date, but any other one that's not so contentious, we can ask for an extension if we think that's necessary.
I'd come back and say that I think that going forward, the agreement to extensions will become less common, as the rumours that we're all hearing from government are about timeframes as well. I'm making a point about a theoretical situation, and that so there's no problem in calling a different date for a full council meeting. We have a process for doing that. I just think that it may not fit in with the reserve date, because I think the pressures when we are allowed to play a part in planning will be stricter in the future. But that's just what I'm hearing.
Graham, can I just answer your first question statement? It won't restrict members of the public to be able to come and speak on it, because they can come to the meeting that planning is being held at, which will be held during full council. So they can come to full council, and they can come to full council to speak on that as well. So it won't restrict it.
If all items on the agenda that have already been approved by the local members, and then people can come and speak, then yes, clearly you're correct, Chad. That wasn't my understanding. My understanding was that it would be done under our existing methods, whereby essentially the councillors in that ward plus the mayor and deputy mayor would make that decision. We're saying they won't make him a decision; they'll make a recommendation to full council.
No, they will make a decision whether to recommend support it or not support
so therefore,
it.
the public will not get a say in those decisions. I believe most of them are, like I say, porches and things. It's unlikely to have many people protesting, but we have seen people attend our planning meetings in the past, and for the benefits that there are to this proposal, we do need to consider those applications and how those members of the public can actually have their say, because they won't go to, most of these won't get heard. And it's not like Area South. I think we just need to think about this a little bit more.
You could put review period.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, well, the CEO has just said, well, perhaps we need to have a review period on this. We need to maybe run it for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then review after. And I think I would agree with that. So we had a proposer, did we, for this? No, hang on. You wanted to come in, then you had.
So now it's clear in my mind what the working and mechanisms of this are. I think using the scheme of delegation should only be used when it is absolutely necessary and not business as usual.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing here is actually the delegation will now form part of the business as usual approach, where an application falls outside of a period whereby we hold a full council meeting. Therefore, what concerns me is things are no longer going to be even, and that's how it may be perceived by the public. And what I mean by that is, if an application happens to arrive in a month with a full council, it gets full council scrutiny. If an application arrives outside of that, it does not. And therefore we progress it as per the current scheme of delegation. So my proposal would be, in terms of a review period, wouldn't it be better at the moment to accept that the months where we hold a full council meeting, we adopt the planning session there, and months where there are no full council meeting, we convene a planning meeting if there are any planning applications. That way, as Councillor Oakes has just said, everyone is treated fairly and every application has an opportunity to be reviewed by the full council.
It would need to be one or the other. You couldn't run a planning committee as part of the town council meeting every other month and then a planning committee. You would either need a planning committee or not have a planning committee.
Okay.
I think the reason this has arisen is because of the lack of applications coming through and the length of time that those meetings are taking. Not the length of time, sorry, but the cost for 20 minutes.
Voting, nothing else.
You know, looking at those applications, which quite honestly, we're a consultee on. I do take the points, but we're just looking at trying to make this system work more efficiently and more cost effectively. I take Graham's point about, you know, people having the opportunity to speak on this, but the application will go out and people will have that opportunity when it goes to the decision makers as well at a later stage. So there is if it goes to, it will go out to the relevant people when Somerset Council look at it after the consultees have looked at it. So there is that element in the process. The bit that I think is going to change this dramatically is when the government change all the planning rules, and I don't think you'll see anything come to parish councils, because I think under a certain size it will be nodded off by ministers, and anything over a certain size will then go to the local authority, which is then Somerset Council. So I would suggest that we try this and see if it works with a review period. If it doesn't, then we have to think again, don't we?
Can I also add, we are just the consultees and any member of the public can be a consultee on any planning application. So we're not necessarily removing the ability for them to
They can
have their
comment
say.
as much as they like.
There are comments that they can make now. If I can also add, I do think the public get confused about the town council meeting and what your roles and powers are, that sometimes they think that you are the decision maker, and it's often have to make clear that you are just a consultee like the member of the public is as well. And there may be other things that we can do to make people aware about what planning consents are coming up, that people can do a bit of have a look on our website maybe, and then go off to see whether they want to comment on it. So we can still enable people to comment on it by signposting them to where they need to comment.
Just before you come in, Dave, can I just clarify something? That when somebody makes a planning application, it goes into the planning department and is then validated. Once it's validated, it's on the system. Once it's on the system, then the relevant parties, consultees, are notified. The most important consultees are the neighbours to that particular application. So if it's a domestic application, it's their neighbours immediately adjacent, to the rear, to the front, that are bound those things. So they're the most important consultees out of all of them, the ones that application actually affects. So as the CEO has said, they can take their part in that consultation in that way. But Dave, sorry, I'll just bring Dave in and then come back to Amanda, please.
Just go back to the CEO's point. Is there a comms piece here about clarity there? Because as you rightly say, I'm constantly saying to people, we don't make any decisions, but there could be an opportunity for us there to communicate this better to the public, to create more engagement with the planning system, because I'm a great fan of as many people being involved in consultation as possible, not just the immediately affected parties. So is it actually made clear on the website that we are just the consultee?
It's made clear on the agenda. We could probably make it clearer.
Yeah.
I think we also need to be careful that we're not taking work away from one area and creating it in another way, in which case that will be, we might as well just keep on doing what we're doing. What I also want to add in terms of somebody who may want to support or object to a planning application is that there is a sign that is placed on a lamppost or whatever near that property. So if you're like me, you'll be nosy and you want to go and have a look to see what's going on anyway. So that there is already, but we need to be careful we're not duplicating what Somerset Council should be doing.
Okay.
And that's the point I was making, that once that is validated, then that application goes live. That notice goes on that lamppost outside that particular property that is the application's for.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Right, so did we had a proposal, I believe, on this.
I proposed
You
it
proposed.
some time ago.
Have we got a seconder for this?
I second it, Chair.
And I'm
Right.
going to say we're going to review after 6
Yes,
months.
with a review period after 6 months, which will give us what, 3 full councils or two?
Two.
Yeah.
But also we can keep together a record of how many we're consulting outside of
Yeah,
those meetings.
Because if you look at the notes actually, and you look at the meeting times, it gives you a really good example there that's in the paperwork here. Exactly. So that gives you a reason why we're looking at this. Okay, right. So Jenny's proposed, Rob has seconded. All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? 1 abstention. Okay. Right, and that brings us on now neatly to 11/367 scheme of delegation. So members to consider the revised scheme of delegation as attached at pages 35 to 42 and recommend the recommend the adoption to the council. So is there anything you want to say on? I mean, hopefully everybody's read this.
So the major changes, I have assumed that you were going to agree to take the planning out. If not, we could have reverted back to what I put on the front page of the agenda. So I've removed all to do with planning, and you will see P under full council says to consider all planning applications and planning matters, and also later in the under the town clerk, it also mentions about what will be under the scheme of delegation as well. And I've also put another section in about responsibilities of councillors and what's expected of you when you come to a meeting, etc.
Okay, Rob.
2 points, Chair. The first one, 4.3.2, paragraph I should say to oversee community safety functions, including CCTV, community wardens, police and other authority and other agencies. Defibrillators, bleed kits. It misses out police and other agencies.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
The other point that I was going to make, I think answers a question that came up before, is 4.1.1.1.
4 point what?
1.1.1.1 or something like that.
I've got it, yeah.
4.1.
The one after 4.1.1.
It says that the executive consists of the mayor, deputy mayor, chair of each committee, representative of each committee, proportionate representation from opposition groups, usually 12 to 14 members. So it only specifies the chairs. It doesn't specify the other members that are in the executive. So it means that you can actually have between 12 and 14 members on the executive.
Does that answer your question?
But only the chairs are guaranteed that point. The rest are
The others are elected to it.
The others are elected to it.
Okay.
Right?
Right. So it doesn't specify.
Okay.
So there's nothing to stop you
So nothing
being on
changes-
this. Nothing to stop you
changes,
being
really.
one of the elected members to this.
Okay.
I'm going to miss something.
Andy, sorry.
Just 1 point, I just need to explain this, on 4.1.2, item B, Could you someone could just read that and explain to me, because it seems to be in a circle. It says to determine all personal matters, including the appointment of the chief executive and the town clerk, subject to any personal matters delegated directly by the town council to the chief executive, town clerk.
Okay, so as
A circle.
you determine all personnel matters that haven't been delegated directly to me.
That's this committee.
Yes. So anything that hasn't been delegated to me will revert to this committee to decide on.
Does that make sense now, Andy?
Thank you.
It's when it says the appointment of the chief executive, I understand that. We're going to make an appointment of chief executive, but then it says subject to personal matters delegated directly by the town council to the chief executive town clerk. It just doesn't read right to me. It says a bit of a circle.
So basically it's saying your role is to determine all personal matters.
Yeah.
However, there are a certain amount of personnel matters that have been delegated to me, which you will see later under the town clerk. So it's everything except what I've been delegated to do.
But it's when it says the appointment, it says, what's this, to determine all personal matters, including the appointment of the chief executive town clerk.
Yeah, so if, say I was to leave and you wanted to appoint a new chief executive, then you would be responsible for that recruitment of that.
This committee would be.
Correctly, and then you directly report to the chief executive town clerk on that decision.
No.
It might be me being a bit thick.
Subject
but
to any
I'm
matters
reading that as a circle.
Okay, maybe in brackets I can put including the appointment of chief executive or town clerk. Would that make it clearer?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying though, can't you?
Yeah, would that make it clearer, Andy, for you? Okay, thank you. Can we change?
Yes, I can do
Can we
that.
change that wording then, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Who was next? Adrian, did you have a hand up? No? Any other comments from members, please?
No.
No?
We have to vote on this.
No. We can't vote on this one.
Yeah, because we need to
We
recommend
have. Yes, I've got it here. Sorry. Just going through these things. Right, so.
I'll propose it with the changes that have been highlighted.
Okay.
I'll second that.
And Carl seconds that. Okay. Right, so firstly, the committee is recommended to note the report and to approve the authorisation of applying for, no, that's the wrong one, sorry. No. Yeah, that's the wrong one about,
So you're recommending the adoption to
Yeah.
council?
yeah, recommend, yes.
Yep.
So all in favour?
Yeah. thank
Any
you.
against? Any abstentions? Right. Okay. So,
Business debit card.
right, yeah, so the next one is 11/367, business debit card application. Members to consider report by Chief Executive Town Clerk regarding application for a business debit card attached at 43 and 44.
Okay, so as suggested in the report at the moment, a cheque needs to be raised. That means we need to get two councillors to come in and sign it. And that just really slows down operations when you've got somebody that needs a petty cash, whether it's here at Townhouse or at one of our other services. So we're requesting that we apply for this business debit card, which Jackie will hold, and she will be solely responsible for that and withdrawing the funds to replenish petty cash as and when we need it. So it's for a business need.
Members, any questions on this?
Could I propose it?
One, is it question, Rob?
Question.
Yeah.
Okay. Normally when you have a card or some card, do we not, I'm just trying to think how this could be tied into the reports that we get from you on the budget, etc. or the spend.
What comes to statement?
Would it come, would we get a statement on the accounts to say what it was, so that it can be squared off and verified by this
So
committee?
the bank statement, it will feed into the bank reconciliation. You wouldn't have a budget line because it's.
No, sorry.
Sorry.
What I mean is, will we get the January and February payments, for instance? Would we get another one that says, like, debit card statement or something like that, so that we could verify that as well? Does that make sense?
I think we can put together something.
So that we get something that says, this is what is used on the debit card this month, then this committee knows.
So if I may add to that, it's only withdrawing cash out, so it's not being spent on anything. It will be going
but
into
it's
the
still-
float, and then the petty cash will go through the system, won't it?
It is literally used to top up the petty cash, and all the petty cash is expenses.
I'm just exploring the visibility of it from this committee's point of view.
But there will be a statement for the withdrawals from that card.
Yes.
The withdrawals go, as Jackie says, to top up the petty cash.
Okay,
So you have transparency there, don't you?
Yeah,
This cash is scrutinised.
Jenny next and then you, Dave.
It wasn't really a question.
All right.
I'm just going to say, I think this makes sense rather than delaying things, having to get councillors to come in. I think it's a sensible decision. I'm happy to second it.
So the internal auditor will always review anything with cash being drawn out as well.
I think that's my point, Amanda, is that we want to be clear for when the auditor looks at it, that we've had sight of it, so they can't turn around then and say, we haven't had sight of it.
Yeah.
It's just, do you see what I'm saying? I'm doing a bit of a belt and braces in a way that, all right, so it might be 5 or 6 lines that just say withdrawn, so such and such.
So
But at least
there will be some controls in place to assure you and the
Yeah,
auditor.
that's what I'm saying. It's this visibility is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Sorry, Chair.
No, happy with that? Right, Dave.
Just to address that visibility thing, would it be possible just to add a column on the sheet to say how the payment was made, payment method, and a column, and put, I don't know, DC, debit card, whatever in it?
It's
Then you won't have to introduce a separate thing altogether. Just introduce a column and just say how the payment was made.
So all the petty cash spends there is a separate form that we compile together each month.
Yeah.
And that is what been audited by auditors.
Okay.
So if you want to see it, we can include that as part of the reports on our.
All transactions that come out of petty cash will appear on these here.
I can tell you the code as well.
What we're talking about here is having a card
Yeah.
to get that cash, rather than getting 2 councillors in here to sign a cheque and go and cash that cheque.
And then a reconciliation of accounts, the check and all that. So yeah, I get it, but I'm just picking up on what Rob.
I did just say that right, didn't I?
Yes, you
Yeah, I thought,
yeah.
right.
It was just Rob's point about clarity. About
Yeah, no,
That's fine.
absolutely. There's clarity at the moment, and there will be clarity
That's fine.
with this. I mean, it's almost taking coals to, aren't we?
I was going to say, well, from what previously we withdraw it from the cheque, so that cheque appears on the statement. And
Yeah.
from that statement, we reflected how we spent all the petty cash exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it's just exchanging that cheque to a debit card withdrawal.
Yeah.
Yes, go on, Rob.
I'd like to second Jenny's proposal.
Right, okay, so committee is recommended to note the report, so happy to note, and to approve the authorisation of applying for a business debit card.
Yes.
So we've got a proposer, seconder, all in favour? Thank you. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, question right, ever expanding. It's a paper. Right.
Audit reports now.
Audit report, yes, right. So 11/368 internal audit reports. Members to consider reports of the internal auditor.
Okay, so there's 2 reports here. I think one of the most important things is on page 47, where the internal auditor outlines the issues from 24-25, which we were disappointed in, but that I think it was easily explained by the fact that we'd had a number of services devolved to us. And she tells you that all but one of those high-level recommendations have now been implemented, And the outstanding one is one that's currently outside of our control, and that's regarding money that Somerset Council owe us. So I think that's reassuring in itself. And you can also see then the other things that she's looked at. I need to make it very clear, you will never have an internal audit report where you will have no recommendations, because an internal auditor will always be looking for something. So I'm quite satisfied with the numbers that we've been given on there, especially now since we're a much larger organisation and we've got more people involved with the different aspects of our business. So you can just see that she's highlighted some areas of risk. She's apportioned whether it's a low risk, a medium risk or a high risk. And we've also said that we've agreed with most of them and what we've put in place. And you can see that some of the things we've already resolved the issue that she's highlighting, and some of them we've already resolved the issues before she'd actually came in, but she was looking at older data sets in which to identify those issues. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone had on these reports, or Jackie will be happy to answer them as well.
Any questions, anybody?
No, happy to note the report.
Question, just on the last paragraph, work is still ongoing to reconcile the amendments. There's final balance before today, 31st of the 26th. Is it cleared?
No, so that £865, when you look at the materiality, it is so small, and any organisation that I've worked in, you always have an unreconciled amount, so we will be writing that off, so it's not a recurring issue.
To say it.
No.
I that's a joke one, but
No, but the amount's reduced, hasn't it?
It has changed since the reports as well.
Carl?
Mine's not really a question. It's just a thank you to the officers, Jackie and Amanda, our chief executive, for all the hard work they do put into this and into these reports.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Feed that back to the team as well.
So members happy to note the report?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So the next item, 11/369, funding the floodlights at Yeovil Recreation Centre. So.
Okay, yeah, so the Leisure and Environment Committee had agreed to appoint a bidder for the procurement of floodlights, and some of it will be coming refunded from the reserve for the recreation centre, but some of it will be saving electricity costs to the tune of £5,500 over 4 years. So we are making savings on our electric by installing these floodlights. So what we want to do is for you to approve that 22,000 of that capital outlay will come from the climate change reserve, and that will be on a spend to save basis, in which the savings that we have over the 4 years will replenish that reserve.
Jenny?
I just need to declare an interest that our football team uses the recreational centre, and I am in charge of the finances and I pay the bills.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Rob?
Move the recommendation, Chair.
Okay, so is committee, got a second?
I'll second that.
Oh, the committee's recommend note report, noted, and to approve the 22,000 should be released from the climate and change reserve to be replenished over a 4-year period at £5,500 per annum. So, got a proposer, seconder, all in favour? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's unanimous. Very much. Right, now, I think we're going to have to say goodbye. Oh, no, yes, we are, sorry. I'm afraid we're going to have to exclude press and public. So, Steve, lovely to see you again, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Night, Steve.
Can I ask any councillors that are online, please turn the cameras on and make sure they have earphones in and they are alone in the room, and make a declaration to that.